Good evening and welcome to the Minions of the Zoo night stream. This is episode 1273, and with me tonight are my guests, Geodes.
Hello.
Skep, Tock.
Hi, everybody.
Sora-Luna.
Hi.
And Serenity Star 13.
Hello.
How are you all doing today?
Giddy.
Giggity?
I'm off work.
Giddy.
I'm happy.
Oh, giddy.
Yeah.
Okay. Skep always has a good Saturday. I can tell you that the weather here in California was as picture perfect and storybook fantastic as you would have imagined it is. It's the kind of weather that Californians pretend that we have when we're talking to people outside of California, except we actually had it today.
So it's pretty wonderful. You know, you're on the warm side of the mountains there, and that really is that is some of the nicest weather consistently. Because I was on the cooler side, and fog until 11:30. For 3/4 of the year. That's what Monterey is. If you lived right next to the ocean, and we were a mile away from the beach. And then at exactly 11:36, we calculated that was when the fog burned off, and you'd very likely have a very beautiful day after that. But
You do. Most people who don't know the ocean don't realize that when a big fog bank comes in, right at the front of it is like this gust front.
yes,
And so
right.
the first thing that hits you is, holy crap, the temperature just dropped about 20 degrees.
Right.
Because you just get this cold wind, and then it becomes slightly less windy, but kind of damp.
Yeah,
And-
it's very windy.
It is.
Monterey's actually very windy. We played Pebble Beach, and I played Pebble Beach golf course. It is a windy event.
It is windy all up and down the coast. You go to Big Sur, Pacifica, of course, San Francisco. It's all windy.
Big Sur is just constantly windy because it's so exposed.
Yeah, it's actually really beautiful on the coast. But, we take what consolation we can, given what a horrendous mess things are. I have my little list of things that we're not going to be spending a lot of time on, and to give you an idea of how much stuff there is, I didn't even think to put California recall election. It's like it's not real. It's like, really, you're going to try to recall Gavin Newsom, and if you get enough votes, potentially the governor could be Caitlyn Jenner. Okay.
That's true. And if I could just say one thing. One of the things that the other side is objecting to about the recall election is how much it costs. This from the group who tried to impeach Trump twice.
Mm-hmm.
Or actually,
this from
did
the group
impeach
that
him
wanted
twice.
to give free health care to illegal aliens under the age of
Right.
26.
But it's going to cost $500 million to run this election, they say. That's inflated. But it probably is about $100 million. And they object to that cost because suddenly they've grown a fiscal conscience. Fuck you.
Yeah, all of a sudden it's as if the budget matters. Like, oh, whoa. Nobody said we were going to spend that money there. Well, think of it as a jobs program. If we just,
Yeah.
renting out all those halls and stuff, anytime the government spends money, it's good for the economy, right?
The Democrats,
shut up.
they
Justified this
really
time.
have become autocratic. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah,
I was going to say, it's justified this time. That's all.
it is justified. And there are a number of people who pointed out that think what you will about politics, but single-party rule is not doing California any favors.
No, it's not.
But that is just one of the stories we will not be spending a lot of time talking about tonight. I kind of like this little recap thing. So Bill Gates and was it Melinda
Yeah.
Gates?
Yeah,
I've decided they're going to break up.
Belinda is
'Cause-
breaking up, and it looks like it's going to re-enter the atmosphere over Australia. I was reading about that.
Yeah.
The breakup of Belinda, and they say you'll be able to actually see chunks of Belinda come in from the low Earth orbit that it was in.
Okay, so my quick take on this, because we have a little bit of time set aside just to sort of talk about kind of topical
Trying to
news.
cover two things at one time there. See,
Yeah, my quick take on this is I've thought over the last several years, Man, Bill must really, really care about his wife to see him go out of his way to just sort of include her in everything. And he's always trying to, he seemed like he was always being very, very
Solicitous.
generous to her in public.
Yep.
And then you turn it around and look at the way she treats him in public lately. And those are two totally different things. She was not reciprocating in kind is probably, or with kindness is probably the nicest way to put it.
Yeah.
There was definitely trouble in paradise.
Yep. Wonder who gets the house.
Which one? They have lots of houses.
No, the big one. The big one on the island in Seattle.
Well, you know, considering how many farmhouses Bill owns, I don't know if it really matters. I forget how many acres. What is he, the largest owner of farmland in the United States now?
Yeah, his holdings are larger than Delaware.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of territory.
He's got a lot of he's got lots of places to lay down his head at night. I don't think
he could be a state
house.
Yeah, he owns 242,000 acres.
Yeah,
Yep.
242,000 acres. So
that's that you know about. That's that you know about. He probably
that's
owns
the stuff that
far
identified.
more. Yeah, far more than that through holding companies and stuff like that.
Well, we've had a bunch of these big breakups lately. You know, it wasn't that many years ago that Mark Sanford decided to go hiking the Appalachian Trail. And that still sticks in my craw because I kind of defended him before I found out what was going on. I was just like, the guy's fed up. He just, for his own health, he decided to go take a break. You know, why don't you get off this guy's dick and let him just go hike the Appalachian Trail?
It turned out he was a whack job, yeah.
That was a euphemism for him chasing around like a horn dog after some Argentinian journalist or something.
Right.
I defended you, asshole.
Yeah, I know. You made me look like a fool.
You made me look like a fool. But look at, was it Bezos and his wife? And that's the total opposite, because in that one, it seems pretty obvious that she just did not get the good end of that deal. Bezos is just sort of like, I'm one of the richest people in the world. Screw this. I'll just grab a new one.
Yep.
And I'll send her an email and let her know she's getting cut loose.
Yeah. And just, you know, per the prenup, you know, I changed the locks.
Yeah.
This is a courtesy email, just to let you know.
Well, she did get a lovely parting gift. I believe she got a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, she got a lot of money.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that she deserves to get crapped on by Jeff Bezos.
Oh yeah, no, it's just
he's a giant asshole. He really truly is.
It's a lot easier to take that crap when you have billions of dollars than it is.
Yeah,
she can just
I'll
buy
find a way to cope.
Well, I mean, it's like him. She'll just buy herself a boy toy, like he bought himself a blow up doll. So I mean, it's just that's how it'll go. That's how it always goes.
Well, you never know. I don't know what sort of stuff she's made of. She might be made of sterner stuff than we all give her credit for.
Well, that's the thing. If she wanted to, she could. Like, there's so many actors who would kill to have a sugar mama out there, as any guy would. Well, not any guy would, but guys who are like that would. But it doesn't mean she will.
She might join a convent, Little Sisters of the Poor.
She could do that.
Yep,
I doubt that one.
The world is wide open to her.
Well, then there's this small piece of news, and the only reason it's in the we're not going to spend too much time talking about it box is because we're waiting to find out what the judge says about it. Without a reply, we can just sit here and speculate all day about what's going on with this thing. And somebody like Viva Fry will probably do a much better job of going through the analysis after it comes out. So I'm just acknowledging that this is taking place, and it's kind of like this really doesn't come as a surprise to me. And even as a layperson, it seems pretty irregular based on all the things that the jurors were saying after the fact. And in the indictment, the motion, there's a lot of detail. There are a number of points. It started reading like the Declaration of Independence after a while, where it's like, okay, now you're just playing for time. You know, there's a few things in the Declaration of Independence that are that seem pretty minor, but I'm sure they were a big irritation at the time. But there are several counts in there, and some of them are pretty obviously a problem. Change of venue,
that's
being
actually
one of
the
them.
big one. That's
Yeah.
that's definitely the biggest one in that. And then the thing that was conspicuous by its absence was the problem with the juror not being truthful about what his association with Black Lives Matter was.
Yeah. Well, there's one even more terrible thing, I think, with the jurors, which is they were neither sequestered nor even instructed to avoid media.
Yep.
Yeah.
They just went home and saw the world burning down.
Yeah.
I can't help but think that would influence things.
Well,
A
they-
little bit, yeah.
and they weren't going to they weren't going to put that in the documents about BLM, because BLM would see that as a flag to come at them again, and they need BLM to ignore this to be able to get a chance of this being a real. So they're not going to put the BLM thing in the filing. They were never going to do that.
The big thing I figure is with the juror that was caught with the shirt. I'm not claiming anything, but I would not be surprised if this person was sitting there going like, if any of you vote against this, I will spread your name far and wide. So it's kind of like
if he had said that, the foreman could have just said, "We need to talk to the judge."
But once again, like you said,
and either mistrial would have occurred right then, or the guy would have been cut loose.
but the thing is, like you said, they were watching the world burn down around them. If they said anything, the guy's like, "I'm a BLM supporter, and these people did this. They don't want this." They would all get so caught up. They're afraid.
I actually think it's more likely that the entire jury in there was sympathetic. I think that the defense did a good job of picking their jury. They got a jury that, never was going to convict or was always going to convict, was never going to let this guy go.
true.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying there is that pressure, though. That's the only thing.
Yeah, well, that's why there's multiple counts in the motion. And I honestly feel like he deserves a new trial. But that's just my opinion. Luckily, I don't have an informed opinion because I'm not informed. Similarly, there was some news about that prosecutor that was sort of run amok with the couple in New Orleans. No, was it New Orleans? No, the ones that were with the guns that were trying to defend their mansion. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Kansas City.
That was like Indiana or something like that. I thought.
Well,
I don't think it was New Orleans. I don't think so.
yeah, this was not part of the lineup. I was listening to Viva Fry go off on that today, and oh my God, they are going after that prosecutor, the one that told them to take the gun that she was using apart and put it back together so the firing pin was enabled and it was actually a functioning weapon again.
Yeah.
Oh, they have so much stuff on her. Check out Viva Fry's channel.
St. Louis couple.
Yes, look at Viva Fry's channel. There's an amazing piece there today about that prosecutor and how they're trying to have her lose her license to.
Just
good.
disbarment hearing.
Yeah, she has let's just say a pattern of behavior,
I see.
and this
Okay.
is not the first time that she's played fast and loose with stuff like that. It's a pretty
Wow.
damning set of stuff. 75 pages of why she's very, very naughty.
See, that one of the problems with an adversarial system of law is the overzealousness that is encouraged by both sides. And, that's something that, professional standards in the law business is supposed to kind of keep a handle on. And they're terrible at it. They really, truly are. Tort reform.
Well, we did have
Two
one-
words, tort reform. Anyway,
Yeah, well, we did have one good thing happen, which was kind of cool. So SpaceX actually managed to have one of their starships land without bursting into flame, or bursting into flame before it lands,
Yay.
or all that other sort of stuff.
it
This
looked
is
pretty
pretty cool.
impressive.
Look at that. I know it's a little small, but
Look at it land like a good rocket.
well, as I said, we did have to
Sora-
run around and put out some fires because, yeah, but
But it did go boom, so that's very good.
It didn't
Yeah.
go boom boom. It's okay.
that's progress, and this makes me happy.
I I just picture Sora going up to this thing, going like, "Who's a good little rocket? You are a good little."
Oh,
rocket."
I'm sure one of the engineers did. Went, oh, he's a good rocket. Oh, he's a good rocket. You're a good rocket.
I mean,
Yeah,
why
that's,
not?
That's methane fuel, by the way, that was in SN15, and methane fuel is a big. It's a big, heavy chemical, and it fumes out like that, and it's very volatile, and it's easy to have a fire. That's why you had a fire, was because of the methane. I'm sure that's what that was.
Yeah.
And the flames.
Well, yeah, engines have flames. Have
No, but it's
some methane venting out, and they caught fire. That's all it was.
Well, we talk so much about paradigm shifts. It's sometimes it's easy to lose track of the not quite so sexy work of development. Research is fine, but development is important as well. Taking those ideas from researchers and turning them into something that can actually be a reality.
There's this thing called engineering.
That's the thing called engineering, and then handing it to somebody who can actually do the operations once it's done.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Chernobyl was a fine piece of equipment. It's unfortunate that they left the night shift to carry out a test that they shouldn't have tried on their own.
Boy, no kidding. No, we're good. I know what it says, but we're good.
Yeah, never underestimate the importance of good documentation.
Never underestimate the destructive power of pure stupidity.
Yeah, no kidding. There was also, let's see, what is the next thing on this list here?
Next thing on the list.
I'm sure you've all seen this. Now, there are multiple stories that go along these lines. It was as if on Wednesday, suddenly this whole new narrative developed out of thin air, which is, wait a second, we can't find anybody to do actual work because people are just enjoying being unemployed and getting extra payments on top of it. Mm-hmm. And I'm kind of curious from the younger folks here, starting with you guys at least, what do you think about this? I mean, and kind of what have you seen happen amongst people you know or know of? I mean, what are your observations about this? Do you think this is a legitimate narrative?
Oh, yeah, no, I know someone who got fired from their call center job. No, got furloughed, technically, by their call center job in May last year. And they just now got a new job. And it was because the fact that the unemployment was so high, thus they could just stay home and play video games all day and not do anything.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like the minute states started opening back up, unemployment should have been slowly because I don't believe in just yanking it out from underneath people, but it should have just been like, we're giving you a warning. Okay. Giving you a warning. All right, we're going to start lowering the payments. Get your asses back out there. Like around here, like in West Virginia, there's McDonald's are offering like $50 just to come in and interview payments.
Yeah, I heard that Florida, DeSantis is looking at enforcing the part where you have to actually look for work.
Yeah, he needs to. It needs to be.
I know that under unemployment, you're supposed to show that you're actively looking.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Normally, but I think they may have suspended that during COVID.
Yeah.
Fun story, actually. I have an uncle who, this was after Vietnam. When he came back, he was told he had to start looking for work, partially, I think, for maybe the unemployment benefits. What he would do is he would call up businesses that were listed in as like in an in-hire newspaper thing, and they're like, do you have any open positions for this? And they'd be like, no. He'd be like, okay, and he'd hang up, and then he'd write the business down like he actually went there and interviewed. and they took it. That was how they did it, and he did that for a couple of years. And it's like, yeah, no. So
people still do that. Here it's you post. I know this because we did a hiring recently, and you post jobs on the different local job websites through different temp agencies, etc., or the colleges, and just by submitting a "I'm interested" ticket towards your job posting is enough. It's counting it as active searching for, and then you never have to reply again. Like if the employer responds like, "Oh, are you still interested? We can set up an interview." You don't ever have to reply to that because you've already reached out.
Yep.
That's enough. Okay.
What's like
That's the rules.
DeSantis also upped all, maybe not all, but a good portion of police officers pay by $1,000 in Florida. That's been sending ripples through everything, which is pissing a lot of people off, which is hilarious. But yeah, no, I know a lot of lazy ass people who just don't want to work, and I understand it, because who wants to work? Like, if you're given a choice where it's like a job I hate, or I can work in my garden all day, or I can paint, or I can work on my car, yeah, I understand that. But at the same time, that's not fair to the people who've never not worked this entire fucking COVID problem.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I actually wish there's more initiative for stuff like this personally, but that's just me. Like I understand, like it, or at least reevaluating a lot of these unemployment benefits to kind of actually look at, it's like, well, could you do this, at least this particular type of job or something, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, let's take a quick look at the article itself, and I do want to hear what Skep Talk has to say. It says nearly every sector in our economy faces a labor shortage. Governor Greg Gianforte said in a statement on Tuesday, the vast expansion of federal unemployment benefits is now doing more harm than good. Instead, the state will begin to offer return-to-work bonuses to help employers looking to hire. Starting June 27th, Montanans will lose access to the extra $300 in weekly unemployment benefits, but maintain their regular benefits. Contractors, gig workers, and others will also lose access to the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program, meaning those workers won't get any benefits. Look at that. Look at that horrible guy right there. He's taking away everybody's money.
Aww.
Those relying on the Pandemic Emergency Unemployment Compensation Program, which gives additional weeks of unemployment benefits to workers, will stop receiving benefits. The state also plans to reinstate the requirement that stipulates workers must be actively searching for a job to qualify for unemployment benefits. So I don't want to see the deserving poor, or people who really are still
struggling,
unable to find something, because if things get worse in the economy, they may need to rethink this. Because as you know, we have top people in charge now. And they were not exactly thrilled with the April jobs report. Because everybody was saying, "Oh, the projections, it's gonna be fantastic now that we have adults in charge," and then the April jobs report came in, and it did not look very good. And suddenly, people were making comments along the lines of, "Well, it's Biden's economy now."
Yep. Or
and I think this is just
most of the comments I heard was, "Oh, look, it's Obama economy 2.0." That's most of the one I heard.
So what do you think about this giant steaming turd, Skep?
Well, yeah, a couple things come to mind. First of all, with respect to, if you want to get people back in the workforce, you want to motivate them to get off their butts, get out and find a job. You don't do it by handing them a check for sitting on their butts, because that's called incentivizing behavior. Okay. And when you incentivize that behavior, those organisms will do exactly what you incentivize them to do. So how do you incentivize them to go out and look for jobs? And it's actually fairly simple. The solution is staring them right in the face. What you do is you take the money, then instead of giving it directly to the people looking for jobs, you give it to employers and say, you can hand this out in order to get the really truly top people, truly excellent people to come in and work for you. If you you can give this out to incentivize, you can have little payments to incentivize people to come in and interview, like McDonald's is doing, and then you can have big money to give to the successful candidates when you hire them as a small hiring bonus to help them, continue to get themselves back on their feet. let me tell you, you will motivate a bunch of people to go out and look for jobs. And you will also, in doing that, you will also find out who your hardcore unemployed are, who are people who are not moved by the lack of money and will actually harm themselves in order to continue to not work. And believe me, that's a substantial number of people. It's surprising, but there is. Not everybody is moved by the idea of money, strange as it may seem.
Well, before she walked it back, and I don't think she's even walked it back all the way, AOC was talking about, before COVID hit, how people who either can't work or don't choose to work should be entitled to some sort of UBI.
She walked the doesn't choose to work back. She did specifically do that. I hate defending her in any way, shape, manner, or form, but in fairness, she said that that was going too far, for at least for right now. It's plain that that's where she wants to go, and she's unrepentant about that. But she's not standing by that original thing. I remember when that came out, and that was just, that was indefensible.
Well, sometimes they just sort of float something as a trial balloon, and then when she got a lot of heat for it, oh no, that's just somebody on my staff. They were just
I actually don't think she was that clever, but I agree with you. There are people who will do that, but usually they are more top people than old Sidecat never really impressed me. Sidecat was Sidecat Chakrabarty is his name, and old Sidecat was in my opinion, he was really kind of mishandling the whole AOC thing. It was like, people were saying, oh, he's a political genius and all this stuff, and I watched what he did, and he just bungled thing one and then bungled thing two and kept bungling and bungling and bungling. So, and she eventually, I don't know if she got rid of him or her other handlers got rid of him, but Sidecat didn't work out. Or maybe he stopped going down on her. I did not say that.
Well,
and we did not hear it.
I'm not saying right now. Sometimes it's a curse to have a really good imagination.
Yeah, I try to control it, but
try to keep. Well, at least this isn't a family show. It says right in our YouTube settings that this is not a family show.
This is en famiglia, as the Italians say.
Yeah, this is nothing like that. Well, so they could just go live with the Beehos in Hammer City,
sure,
if they can't find something to do. I found out a little more about that. The construction that they're the reason in the picture it looks like they have their little domes is because what they're doing is what's called it's an earth bag structure. And so what you do is you take earth and you fill a bag, and then you make something that is circular, minus doors and windows where you have to put some sort of frame in there, and it has to sort of work its way inward at the top so that you build like a dome or almost like a yurt-like structure out of it. Mm-hmm. And the reason they think they'll be fine is because, they call it earth bag, but I like to call it dirt bag. So
there's actually a name for them. They're called, I believe it's toroidal universal research domes, TURD.
Oh yeah, that does make sense.
Yeah, and turd houses are the houses of the future.
So while they're in their dirtbag houses, the thing about a dirtbag house is that it has a lot of thermal mass. So it doesn't tend to get super hot during the day, and it doesn't tend to get super cold at night. I don't think that's going to help them through a long winter. But luckily, there's no rooms in it. It's just this structure, and you can put your wood stove where you burn your copies of Anne Frank's diary, because that's what they said they were going to burn, in the center of it, and it'll all be fine. So
of course they are.
Yeah, it's going to be fine. They're going to be in their dirtbag houses on their 200 acres of 10,000 foot altitude land with 3 water sources and rich soil. And I honestly couldn't be happier. I'm so looking forward to watching this this unfold. Does anybody in the panel not know what we're talking about?
Oh, I actually looked into one point building a Earthbag house, so yes, I know what you're talking about.
I have an important statistic for us. There are currently 30 million copies of the Diary of Anne Frank in print. So that is the entire universe of burnable literature that they have, set their sights on.
Once they're done with the all Doctor Who documentation, but yes,
Yeah, I think they need to expand it out, possibly include Lord of the Rings, some other big sellers. Maybe go with the Harry Potter route. Those are very flammable.
Yeah. No, it should be good, but yeah.
Game of Thrones.
Sure.
So back to unemployment, because I know
Oprah's
super
on
sexy
selling
topic.
books.
Yeah.
She's probably got a few in the warehouse.
This is kind of a problem because the economy doesn't really need anything else slowing it down. If lack of labor is an issue, usually this is addressed through rising wages, which means rising prices, which means yet another thing causing more inflation. The amount of inflation pressure we're putting on our economy is not insubstantial. And I think it was Functional who put forward an article from Zero Hedge saying that in the last few months, people, if you look at the income of Americans, 38% of it on average has been coming from the U.S. government. And that is a ridiculous number.
Do you know who Bill Singer is? Anybody
Singer?
know Bill Singer? Like a singer in a band. Bill Singer.
Sounds familiar.
He is a hedge fund manager par excellence. His personal worth is many billions of dollars, and he runs a $42 billion hedge fund. And I read some of his musings, and I'll boil them down very quickly. Be afraid. This shit is going to bite us and bite us big time. And he went into a considerable amount of detail and backed his. You can see what's going to happen, and it is not going to be pretty when inflation hits. It's going to hit big and hit very suddenly, and the stock market is going to tank. And the capital accounts of all these companies are going to go way down. Commerce in the United States is going to shrink. I mean, you'll literally see Walmarts with, half-stocked shelves as a result of this. And it's not far away. It's in the next year or two that this is going to happen.
Yeah, and weirdly, all they have to do to fix it is just step back and stop doing the stupid things they're doing.
Stop hitting themselves in the head with the hammer.
Yeah, literally all they have to do is get the hell out of their own way.
Right, exactly
and
right.
Just stop.
Yep. Mm-hmm. That's all. And that was his point. He said, it's still savable. It's like life is saying, here, win the game. And they're going, no. We're gonna hand the ball to the opponent, and because we want to lose the game. Idiots.
Yeah, we don't deserve to win.
We're bad. We don't deserve to win. It's going to be so bad. It really is going to alter the way we live. It's going to alter the way you think about food. Mm-hmm. This is going to be bad.
Well, it could be. I mean, we don't know for sure how much buy-in there's going to be for a lot of this. We know it's going to be bad. I don't know if it's going to be that bad, but it could be that bad. They're certainly trying. They're trying to the race to the bottom as hard as they can. This idea of modern monetary theory, I mean, again, if we're being fair, a lot of those people don't think that you can just print unlimited amounts of money. They just rationalize that the national debt could be much, much larger than it is if you're a country like the United States.
Yes.
But honestly, for a group of people that are skittish about changing the composition of Earth's atmosphere by a few hundredths of a percent or tenths of a percent at most, because it might bring about a catastrophe, they seem more than willing to to go in to basically insert their entire fist into the U.S. economy and think that everything is going to be just fine. And
Right.
I can tell you that system is almost more dynamic and chaotic than the weather.
It certainly is a lot more reactive. It is much faster reacting and can get much more catastrophic much more quickly.
Yeah, the invisible hand is basically winding up for the bitch slap of all time.
That's just about right. And there are a lot of countries that they're observing this, and they're even saying it. They're saying, we can't wait to see the United States get its comeuppance. We can't wait till they can't buy anything.
We'll take the rest of you with us. Don't kid yourself.
Well, yeah, I mean, where they're being short-sighted is they think they live in an island. As they sit and use their 70% made and invented and developed in America stuff. Idiots.
Yeah.
This is so easy. All we have to do is not screw ourselves.
Yeah. How do you think your nationalized and socialized medicine would hold up if the United States wasn't here?
Yeah, no kidding.
Well,
Do you know how much of a largesse you basically receive for free by having us do all the pathfinding and the development?
Yeah.
I was going to say, didn't Thomas Sowell not too long ago say we're kind of at the point of no return? I mean, I can't remember offhand, but I thought he said something.
He's been warning about inflation for a long time.
Yeah.
And, he's my man. He's my main man.
Yeah. I thought he said something this year, though, about like we have hit the point of no return. I could be wrong, but I'll have to double check. So,
Yeah.
If you have currency,
always
by all
terrifying
means,
here.
turn it into something tangible. Because tangible things will still have value when currency doesn't.
Mhm.
And that's just the thing. Of course, if you have a bunch of debts, then inflation will largely wipe those out. But that'll be small consolation if you can't get enough food.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. As you expire from starvation, at least you can do it debt free.
Exactly. Way to find the
funny
upside
and dark.
in that one.
Always look on the bright side of life.
Life's a piece of shit when you look at it.
Yeah, life's a piece of shit when you look at it.
All right, let's see what is next. This actually kind of pisses me off. CDC punishes superstar scientist. God, I really need a de-esser for that one. I don't think I can say that properly. For COVID vaccine recommendation, the CDC followed 4 days later.
Yeah.
What a bunch of bullshit. Holy crap.
Now,
Yeah.
there-
So
I don't know
this
what that's
guy,
about
Harvard
yet, but
Medical
that-
School.
Annoys me.
Well, it should annoy you. Harvard Medical School's Dr. Martin Kulldorff invented key parts of the U.S. vaccine safety system. But the CDC doesn't want his expertise on COVID vaccines. Why? Looks like politics. The Centers for Disease Control pulled a world-renowned expert off a vaccine safety advisory committee after he publicly disagreed with the agency's pause of the Johnson & Johnson COVID vaccine. The same opinion that I made and a number of other people on previous night streams. Because you look at it on the face of it, and it's like, if this is the threat that we're trying to deal with, and this is the problem that you think is occurring, how do you rationalize just pausing it across the board? And that's what we said. But it just took the CDC a little while to sort of catch up. But before they caught up, in an email, the CDC's Dr. Amanda Cohn said Dr. Martin Kulldorff of Harvard Medical School was being removed for communicating to the public his expert opinion, which differed from what the CDC was saying publicly at the time. 4 days later, however, the CDC reinstated the use of the vaccine, effectively adopting Kulldorff's recommendation after punishing him for publicly communicating it. It has been brought to the CDC and the ACIP's attention recent public statements you've made regarding policy opinions that appear to be predetermined prior to complete review of data, Cohn wrote Kulldorff in April 19th email. We understand and appreciate that vast members, that's the committee, have personal opinions, and we do not object to the expression of those opinions. However, I always love when somebody makes a statement like that.
Yeah.
And
yes,
then they
we
say,
do.
however, or, I agree with you totally, But
Yeah, right.
okay, if you agree with me totally, how can there be a but?
Right.
Where does the but come in anyway? So, however, yes, we expect members to be objective and devoid of any appearance of bias. Therefore, CDC is respectfully ending your membership on VAST effective today.
Yeah, respectfully firing you. That's an interesting use of the term respectfully.
Yeah, he was really doing you a favor being on that board.
I doubt. That's the other thing is, who do these guys think they are? My God, this guy is an eminent scientist. He doesn't have to do this. He was asked to be a part of this, and he graciously consented. You know, but here's the thing that really galled me about this. They were going to end up with his opinion anyway, and they knew it at the time that he came out and did it. He just pissed them off because he stole a march on their big moment to, after careful deliberation, we've decided this is the right thing to do. Well, of course it's the right thing to do, and he'd already blabbed it. So, they're mad at him for essentially taking the applause away from them, and also embarrassing them. That's really what this is about, in my opinion. I don't know. What do you guys think?
That is true, but I want to widen the scope a little bit here. I have a long memory, and I can remember a couple things that sort of fell along these same lines. So, remember when Mike Pence was running the coronavirus task force? And they said that all the communication from the government about COVID statements should go through Mike Pence. Now, because a Republican was in charge, the people on the left were absolutely livid about why should Mike Pence be the one person who gets to decide what the government says about all these sorts of things.
Yeah.
Right. But it was just political. People on the left got really bent out of shape when something like that happens. And now people on the left, now that they're in charge, they get bent out of shape when somebody talks. Now it's not okay, but before it was totally okay because Republicans were in charge.
Right.
And it's opposite day now. And if you think back to Bush 2, there was a lot of criticism because they were trying to not have individual climate scientists making statements about climate change.
Yeah.
They didn't want a lot of these, superstars in sort of the climate world going off and saying things that contradicted the government position. And of course, then, because Republicans were in charge and people on the left were the ones that were upset about it, it's totally different.
Right.
It just feels like political hypocrisy. They don't really believe that people should be able to express their opinions. They just only believe that the right opinions should be expressed.
That's absolutely correct. Yeah. And, well, I'm talking too much. What do you guys?
And I'm talking too much. Anybody else?
What do the rest of you guys think?
Well, this is how it's always been. It's like, at this point, I'm like, it makes me mad, but at the same time, it's like, all I can do is vote and try to get the stupid people that I don't like not in there anymore, but there's not so much I can do on that one. But yeah, no, this is just same day, same shit, different day.
Yeah. I've where I mean, like, kind of, I think I'm kind of I'm on the same page as Serenity. Only difference is I'm like, for my case, I don't think vote, where I live at least, and with some of the stuff I have to vote on, it wouldn't matter. So I just am kind of like, just batten down the hatches and just hope that things work out, and watch out for your own. So.
Gird your loins.
Well, you're the youngest person here, so you have the most to lose. So
Yeah.
That's the problem, Gio.
I know.
She was the baby and he's fucked.
Yeah, so it could be a problem. So I mean, on the one hand, and I don't mean to go full Tim Pool here and go, it's complicated, and then just start equivocating for 20 minutes about this whole thing. But I'm gonna do a little bit of that without going full Tim Pool, because you never want to go full Tim Pool. people, when you have people go off and say things kind of half-assed, right?
Mhm.
And they say things about, like, say, climate. Like, Al Gore said a number of incredibly stupid things about climate.
And then
And there
bought a
were a
beach house.
ton of petty bureaucrats who were sort of peripherally associated with this giant machine chewing up our money, who said a lot of incredibly dumb things about climate. And then when you go to a person who's like, they're not technical, whatever, they just say, this person said I was going to be treading water by now, and that didn't happen. Therefore, everything that's ever been said about climate is BS. Now, I'm not trying to change anybody's mind on anything. I'm just saying that I can totally understand why, if you're on a government paycheck, in much the same sense that I don't think you should be able to take a knee if you're a professional athlete. If you're doing a job, it's not unreasonable to say, maybe when you're on our paycheck, you don't get to contradict what the position of the company is when you're functioning in a capacity with the company. But
I'd
this
agree
guy's
with
like a
that.
volunteer. This guy's a
Yeah.
volunteer, and he's an expert. He's more expert than any of you. That's not what this situation is. This is fundamentally different than that, in my opinion. And,
Well,
you know, they
I mean-
always say, follow the science, follow the science, follow the science. Why are you following the science? Well, you assholes, you actually could have followed the science and listened to this guy, and you shouldn't be shutting down, you know, heterodox opinions about stuff like this when we're all in the process of trying to figure this shit out.
Well, I mean, and that's the thing is, like, this was his job.
Well, was that even a heterodox opinion?
At the time, it was.
Yeah, I guess it was.
Well, maybe not for real. I mean, in the sense of
Like, heterodox
there
public
was
opinion.
there was a government orthodox opinion, you know, because of course YouTube has decided we only listen to the CDC,
Right.
right? So if the CDC, whatever the CDC says officially, that's the truth.
That's
as
the
defined.
default hypothesis. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's our metric for truth. We could go for falsification. We could look at all the other things, but no, just go with whatever.
Read
the
my
CDC
mind.
says.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will
Yeah.
challenge you a little bit on this, Harry. I don't know if
Go
it's
ahead.
I don't know if it's so much the CDC as the WHO that YouTube tries to direct us to, but
I thought they were trying to. I don't know, because I don't actually. I don't think that orthodoxy in science is actually all that useful. You kind of want to keep other people on their toes. Even people who say incredibly stupid things serve a function. You know, first of all, they're a cautionary tale. You know, don't be that guy. But second of all, there's nothing wrong with keeping the people who know what they're doing on their toes. And if they can't explain what they're trying to do, whether it's nuclear power or whatever, in a way that people can understand, then, oh well, you know, that's kind of the problem. We have to actually communicate things to people in a way that's useful.
Yeah, no, you're right, and the power of orthodoxy and the inertia that can impart to a process. I mean, look at Ptolemy and epicycles. That thing went on a lot longer than it needed to, you know, but it had a lot to do with how much political power, how influential Ptolemy was at the time. That was a jaunt into astronomy, guys.
No. But
Ptolemy's
it's
epicycles. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, retrograde motion of the planets were explained via an incredibly stupid hypothesis, but and clever at the same time. If you take as a given that the Earth is at the center of everything, then you have to explain retrograde motion. Essentially, when you're looking at a planet in the night sky, it appears to move backwards.
Mars
for a short time,
famously
and then
does.
starts progressing forwards.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so you
Mars
have
has
to
a very
explain-
big retrograde motion with respect to the Earth, and it's
Yeah, you
very
have to
famous.
explain retrograde motion, because planets aren't supposed to just suddenly stop and move backwards and then start moving forwards again. That just defies all logic until you just start putting circles on top of circles, or what they called epicycles, to explain what the motion is.
Right.
Yeah. So
The problem
you know,
was, in order to support the epicycles, you had to have planets orbiting something that didn't have any gravity.
well, this was before they really had. This was before Kepler laid
Yeah.
the foundations for Newton.
Right.
So.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I know I come back to the whole orthodoxy versus heterodoxy thing fairly often, but I do think it is actually important. And when the government and big industry, big business are in bed together basically, well, we don't have to prove anything to you. We can just tell you what the truth is, and then you have to accept it. Otherwise, you lose your voice.
Right.
That's what I'm afraid of.
That's America right now. That's very nearly America right now.
Well, we're getting there. It's
getting
getting pretty darn close.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so, for instance, Dr. John Campbell did a fantastic video about a therapeutic agent, not a vaccine, but a therapeutic agent, and it was being used for the prophylaxis of the COOF. And they found that it was 83% effective in a study in India.
Ooh, nice.
I have to dance around this because I can't really talk about it because it's not accepted by
Medical
the CDC.
Misinformation. It's
Yeah, and I
medical
wouldn't want to be accused of
right
spreading misinformation. But
That's right.
I would recommend you go check out Dr. John Campbell's channel if you want to take a look at that.
Yeah, it's all speculative, of course, and it has not been proved or approved by the CDC or the World Health Organization. So we certainly don't want to represent that as being valid in any way. It's just an interesting thing to go read about.
Yes, the only way to address the COOF is for everybody to get vaccinated as many times as possible.
Many vaccinations. Thousands per person.
Because if you had a therapeutic that was broadly applicable to all of the variants that are likely to occur,
and we don't, and never
as opposed
will.
to a highly specific vaccine, you definitely wouldn't want to spend any time looking at therapeutics that would fill the gap while you're developing new vaccines.
Absolutely not.
That
We
seems
love
very
Susan.
dangerous.
We love
It
Susan.
does.
Susan is our
Harry?
god.
Look at chat.
What are they doing?
Someone's doing something they shouldn't be.
Why was Cthulhu hidden?
I'll take care of it.
Thank you.
That is, yeah.
Okay, you're going to take care of it.
Yeah, I'll take care of it. Don't worry about it.
Okay, I don't even know what it is, but I trust you.
Don't worry about it.
Okay. Thank you for flagging that, because I'm busy doing this.
Well,
Yeah,
Geo brought
sorry.
to my attention, and then I looked, and I'm like,
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, yeah, I don't want to get any more depressed than I already am. So how about something super cool?
Yeah.
Yes.
This is the part Sora's looking forward to.
Aha!
Would you like to read this part, Sora? Because I know how much you love talking about the helicopter.
I may have had some alcohol tonight.
Oh, that's right. You were on a game stream. Maybe this is not your night. Okay.
I'm happy to listen.
Okay,
My
never
eye-
mind. Never
My
mind.
eyes are a little sleepy.
More than just your feathers are going to be pink, I think. Just maybe pink eye, bloodshot eyes too. Oh gosh. Let's see. So the little helicopter that could is on Mars, and it is going really, really well. So well, in fact, it's like it says here, NASA's newest Mars mission has been going great. The space agency just barely managed to launch the mission in 2020 before the launch window closed, but everything since has gone just about as well as anybody at NASA could have imagined. The rover successfully landed on Mars, tested all its sensitive high-tech instruments, and is already rolling on the red planet. But the rover isn't the only vehicle that currently arrived on Mars. The Mars Ingenuity helicopter was also along for the ride, and NASA just shared the first image of its new home. The helicopter rode to Mars on the belly of Perseverance. It cruised down to a soft landing, still strapped to the rover's underside. And now that the rover has gotten through all its vital checks, NASA has come to send a command to the rover to remove the thick shield, yada, yada, yada. Okay, this is where we already were. So, let's see. There's that. Did I load the wrong article? Oh, God, I am such an idiot. Okay, let's do this from memory. I loaded the wrong article. Ingenuity is going really well. The fourth test didn't go as planned because there was a little bit of a glitch. So essentially they said, take off and go run your test. And Ingenuity said, what? And didn't bother to actually launch. But they fixed that now. So for the fifth test, Ingenuity is going to take off and fly well in advance of where the rover is and set up its own little airfield base of operations, far ahead of the rover. And so they're accelerating a lot of this work because everything is just going beautifully. A lot of the commercial off-the-shelf components that they used to build this thing on a budget that they thought might fail in the Martian atmosphere are working fantastically.
Yay.
So when they say that it's exceeding everybody's expectations, it really is exceeding everybody's expectations. So one of the big things about these kinds of rovers is it gets cold. It gets really, really cold at night on Mars because the atmosphere is really thin. And you stop getting sunlight and it's freezing ass cold. And the electronics on the rover don't like this, and the electronics on this little helicopter don't like it. So they have to have little tiny heaters that keep it from getting super cold at night. And that's part of what it uses the power budget for from that solar panel. It turns out things are going so well that they have plenty of power to keep it warm and toasty at night when it's not flying around, and to still fly around and do operations during the day. It literally could not be going any better than this.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. It's pretty damn cool. I really, really do like this. But as always, people are being silly. Well, are there any other questions about this? Because, sorry, luckily I've got this memorized.
No, it's one of those things. I was afraid with some of the tests that we were getting news about it needing to, wasn't it like it needed a firmware update or something like that? And that's always a terrifying. I know, but it's still always a terrifying thing because I've seen firmware updates break shit. I'm just like, please don't break it.
Blue screen of death on Mars.
Yeah, it's like, well, we're fucked.
When you actually care about these things, you usually have room in memory for multiple sets of firmware, and then you have a routine which will make it fall back to sort of the safety position rather than just fail catastrophically. Because it's not like the Geek Squad is going to deploy to Mars to fix this thing.
But it's still a terrifying thought.
It is.
Because it's just like, no, don't break the cute little helicopter that has to hide under its mommy when the terrible, terrible storms come. Don't hurt the baby. Don't hurt the baby.
So there people have been doing things like passing around recordings of the sound it makes, and I'm like, I know that's probably like a big deal, but I'm not all that interested in the sound of a helicopter on Mars because it sounds like very zen. You know, if a helicopter makes a sound in an atmosphere that's 1/100th of the density of Earth's, does anyone hear it or something? I don't know. It gets very zen.
I think it was interesting to hear the noise of it, and they had to amplify it, and they had to chop the frequencies up and down to make it prominent enough. There evidently is a lot of wind noise out there too, and so that was kind of overpowering it. But I thought it was kind of interesting to hear, hear sounds from another planet. I always liked that idea. I thought it kind of brings it a little bit closer to you.
That is pretty sweet, actually.
It's kind of a fun thing. I'm getting cooler and cooler on the idea of going to Mars.
You mean having humans go to Mars?
Having humans go to Mars. I mean, there's so much technological stuff that needs to be done to make spaceships safe for humans for long duration voyages. I mean, it's not just the radiation thing. We don't know where the random debris that goes trotting through our system is. And yes, space is very, very big, and it's like being in Yankee Stadium, and somebody with a BB gun is across the stadium from you, and you have a BB gun, and you're both shooting the BBs at the same time, roughly the same time. It's the odds of them hitting each other. I understand that's the kind of numbers you're looking at of colliding with something, but when there is stuff, there's generally a lot of it, and there may be dust clouds of particulate out there that we don't know about that we're going to careen into at 25,000 miles an hour. there's just a lot to, understand and a lot to prepare for. And doing this, the dangerous thing, I think, is to think that we can do this like we did Apollo. I mean, Apollo that was a miracle that worked. That was a miracle. There were so many single points of failure in that. It absolutely is stunning.
Well, I do want to come back to Apollo because you probably know the event I'm going to ask you about better than I do. But briefly, do you remember that pucker up moment in Pioneer 10 where it passed through what was supposed to be a gap in Saturn's rings?
Saturn's rings, yeah.
And they were not sure what the hell was going to happen because it looks like a big empty space, but it could be full of small debris that we can't see.
Exactly.
And we were not sure that spacecraft was going to make it.
Yeah.
Again, Geek Squad to Saturn, not really going to happen. And this was really primitive stuff compared to even Voyager, which came soon thereafter.
Right.
I mean, these guys were worthy successors to practically, Mariner and Ranger and stuff like that. The Pioneer probes.
Absolutely.
You don't hear people talk about the Pioneer probes very much.
No. But that was an amazing time. That was just after the Vanguard failures. Those were really some of the first ones that succeeded.
Well, I remember, I think it was Pioneer that I saw originally. When I was a little kid, I remember staying home from school to watch video that they were taking from the Jet Propulsion Lab. And it was on public TV, and they literally would have somebody with a camera go into the operations deck and look over the shoulders of people and ask them what they were doing. It wasn't this news conference-y sort of dog and pony show bullshit that they do now.
Well, Pioneer 10 was 72. That's the one that you're thinking of, right?
And Pioneer 11 too. But when you got to Voyager, everything was all sanitized and it was all official and stuff. You didn't just have PBS going and taking cameras and doing it live.
Yes. And Pioneer 10 was the first mission to see Jupiter up close and personal.
Yeah.
And
Saturn was a little further on after that.
But the cool thing was that Pioneer 10 was actually the first object to ever achieve the speed to escape the solar system, to reach escape velocity of the solar system. That was one of the most interesting things about it.
Yeah, and it was an amazing thing because we didn't have Hubble back then. So the shitty pictures we got from Pioneer were amazing, and there were a lot of instruments on that thing. Sorry, I don't mean to digress too much into this.
Do you know how long it lasted? 31 years.
Yeah, this is kind of my passion.
Yeah.
What happened? Did they just lose the contact with it?
It was a loss of electric power for the radio transmitter. Essentially, the battery went out, and it's just a bear to get batteries for the thing.
Well, it went far past its expected service life that you can't really complain. Exactly. It would be like buying a Yugo and then having it drive for 31 years without breaking down.
Right.
It was pretty amazing, and if the gain on that antenna is not that great. I mean, this thing is so far away, and it left the magnetopause of essentially the pressure between the sun's magnetic field and interstellar space it had crossed that boundary, and so it took those measurements as it crossed that boundary into the space between the stars. It was no longer in our solar system. And it was transmitting a very, very, very weak signal. It was just a few watts. Mm-hmm. And you had to have enormous antennas that knew exactly where that thing was to pick up that signal. If you imagine that your cell phone can barely connect to cell towers a couple miles away, pushing out a fraction of a watt.
Yeah. How about 12 billion kilometers? That was when we got the last signal from them. 12 billion kilometers.
The engineering behind this stuff is mind-blowing. And because of the speed of light, essentially, if you think about it like a data bus, there's like this loop, right? So signals go out and then responses come back. And that loop, that string, was getting longer and longer and longer and longer as it
was
got
155 watts. It was 155
I'm surprised it was even that much.
Yeah, that was the Weighed 571 pounds, and it was 155 watts.
Is that the total power budget or the transmitter?
Yeah, that's the total. That's the total power budget.
Because I didn't think the transmitter was.
No. The transmitter was. It was probably like a 30-watt transmitter or something. Might even be less than that. Might even. No. Certainly would have been less than that because otherwise it can't last that long. Let's see. Spacecraft design, power and communications. Okay. Yada. Blah blah blah. Let's see. It was 40 watts. 40 watts was available for communications.
Okay, so can you give us which Apollo mission was it that almost died in a solar storm? Was it 14 or 15? I'm trying to remember.
I think it was Apollo 15 is the one that you're talking about, that there was a big solar storm when they were there.
Can you do the super short version of that story?
Yeah, essentially, the Apollo astronauts, hang on one second, had a solar.
Yeah, I don't think it was so much a function of anything they did as just sheer luck that the timing of it didn't cause them to die.
It was Apollo 16. That's what it was. August of 1962. The Apollo 16 moon mission, the sun unleashed a solar storm with enough radiation that would have killed moonwalking astronauts. And that was the big problem. It was Apollo 16 that they delayed as a result of that.
But if you're heading to Mars, you can't predict what the weather is going to be like on the sun.
No,
and you're just out in space, just hanging it all out, hoping that the universe doesn't try to kill you.
Yes.
And that's what human space exploration is. Low Earth orbit is like the kiddie pool of space exploration. You're just sitting there with, your inflatable stuff and your little waders, and you're just kicking the water around, having a good time.
And Mom is right there. Mom's right there.
Mom is right there. And if things get really bad, you can jump in the Soyuz and just hit the panic button.
Right.
And just
home.
come. Yeah, and you're home. You don't know exactly where you land, kind of like a Chinese rocket. But anyway, so
the Belinda 5.
The Belinda 5. So there's this thing. There are people who are starting to convince themselves that they may have seen something that's kind of like a fungal life form on Mars. Now, I'm not taking this super seriously, but I'm just here to report the news. We know that there are no large, complex life forms on Mars. We know this because we've sent so much hardware to the red planet that we definitely would have seen it by now. But microbial life and perhaps even something like fungi might still be hiding out somewhere. Missions like NASA's Perseverance rover, blah, 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 blah. A new paper published in Advances in Microbiology suggests that close-up images of the surface of Mars reveal the presence of fungal life alive and well on the planet. It is an incredibly bold claim, but the researchers provide an impressive argument to go with images that do appear to show something odd happening on the Martian soil. The paper shows a wealth of potential evidence that various forms of fungi-like life may exist on the red planet. Some images show what appear to be white patches resembling lichen covering parts of the surface, while others show spherical structures that the researchers suggest may be akin to puffball fungi on Earth. They even provide images of what they say is bacterial growth on the Opportunity rover that appears to grow over time. Now, you can see in the image that I'm showing here on Sol 2718, those are just Earth days they're talking about. For the counting of things on the mission, you see, look to the left of that round plate. Everything looks fine. And then 2813, you notice this thing. Now, to me, that just reminds me of my car when the manifold is leaking oil. But other people seem to think that this might be something, they've labeled it A. It's right there. Fungi thrive in radiation-intense environments, the researchers write. Sequential photos document that fungus-like Martian specimens emerge from the soil and increase in size, including those resembling puffballs. After obliteration of spherical specimens by the rover wheels, new sphericals, some with stalks, appeared atop the crests of old tracks. Sequences document that the thousands of black Arctic Araniiforms grow up to 300 meters in the spring and disappear by winter, a pattern repeated each spring and which may represent massive colonies of black fungi, mold, lichens, algae, and methanogens and sulfur-reducing species. Black fungi bacteria-like specimens also appeared atop the rovers. In the series of photographs over 3 days, white amorphous specimens within a crevice changed shape and location, then disappeared. Some of the photos the researchers
this is
include
on the dustiest planet in the solar system.
Yeah.
Saying.
Well, we're just having fun with this at the moment. Some of the photos the researchers included appear to be images NASA has already addressed and debunked as saying it was swamp gas. The so-called puffballs appeared to be the blueberries that NASA has observed in various places on Mars. These orbs are thought to be the result of mineral buildup within rocks and subsequent erosion. Some of the other images are a bit harder to explain, but NASA has yet to actually suggest that anything it has photographed on Mars is actually evidence of life. Now, it says there are many geological processes that can mimic biological processes.
Yeah.
NASA appears eager to find evidence of life either in the present or in the past, but we'll have to wait and see until some truly undeniable evidence emerges before we can celebrate such a discovery. Well, yes, the bigger the claim, the bigger the evidence you need.
Okay. In order to have something like what they're calling, it's like Basidium mycota. It's a mycot, meaning a fungus type of growth. In order to have that, those things use water, and they tend to actually use a fair amount of water. Where is the water coming from to feed these mycots?
Yeah, anybody who's ever sautéed mushrooms who doesn't quite know how to cook mushrooms will essentially boil mushrooms if you don't get the temperature and the crowding of the pan right.
Exactly right. Yeah.
Because mushrooms liberate a ton of moisture.
Yep.
But they're not saying it's the same thing as the mushrooms that they grow in cow manure here, that it may be some sort of fungi-like thing. But you're right.
But
is
they
there
all
enough
have
water
lots of
to
water in
support
them.
something like this?
Yeah. So, and the answer, from what we can tell, is no. Okay. Period. There are no rainstorms. There's no periodic rain. There's no local water supply that's evident on the surface. So this has to be something that survives on whatever water is in the atmosphere. And that's precious little because they have precious little atmosphere. And so to support something that looks like a mycot on Earth, they say, well, that looks similar. It may look similar and everything, but the chances are it's not anything like life here on Earth. And the chances are, for one thing, any life up there that evolved in roughly the same way that things evolved here on Earth because of the gravity would tend to be, the gravity alone would tend to be, substantially different from anything. So, I'd be looking for something that looked completely different from any life form we saw down here. And I don't think they've found anything. I think what they're finding is probably dust.
Well, I put the link to the ResearchGate link to the article, and anybody who wants to go check it out can for themselves.
Yeah.
Again, this is the whole heterodox versus orthodox thing. I think it's fantastic that people are doing this.
Yes.
You show some pictures, people ask questions. You can be talking about, Richard Hoagland stuff. He was a big remote viewer guy, meaning he used his powers of his imagination to look at things on other planets. He was a big guy back in the Art Bell days on Coast to
Art Bell,
Coast.
yeah, right.
And Richard Hoagland, oh gosh, no, was Hoagland the remote viewer? I'm getting confused. Who was the guy who was constantly talking about the faces on Mars, who was talking about how there were pyramids and other things?
Let's see.
Hoagland is the guy who was a NASA consultant And I'm thinking of Major Ed Dames, who was the remote viewer guy. Never mind, I'm getting my crackpots
Yeah.
mixed up.
Yeah, I didn't remember Hoagland with remote viewing, but
Yeah,
he was
sorry.
He was a very strange guy. Anyway,
Well, yeah, there was a bunch of stuff. He was very excited about his sort of hyperdimensional geology, that thing, geometry. And he had these ideas about four-dimensional objects in three-dimensional spheres, and somehow it ended up at some particular latitude where he said significant things would happen, and you'll find there was just this whole long theory. I spent way too many years of my life listening to Art Bell for amusement, mind you, never believing any of it. But yeah, those were the good old days when radio was fun.
Hoagland disappeared, right? Was he the one
Did
who
he?
disappeared?
I don't know.
I know.
Somebody.
I may be
No.
somebody else.
No.
I'm thinking somebody
I know.
else.
No. I know who you're talking about. That was a guy. Gosh, I wish I could remember his name. He disappeared. His wife turned on him, and he got in trouble with the feds because he was doing the whole sovereign citizen thing in
Yes.
seminars. He was taking money from people in order to convince them that sovereign citizen bullshit.
Right.
And he got his pee-pee whacked for various improprieties by the government. And I want to say his name was Sean something. I cannot remember. It'll come to me.
That's what I was remembering was the as soon as you said sovereign citizen. Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
I am not
Well,
driving.
anyway.
I am traveling.
Traveling. I'm securing this with my birth certificate. It's worth $1 trillion.
Yes, this is not a car. It is a boat. It is a land boat.
I love that. It's amazing.
Yes, under maritime law, I am allowed to travel.
Exactly.
Why am I being detained?
Yes. Are you detaining me?
I
I'm
enjoy
not a
watching
person.
those
I am a
people-
citizen.
I love the videos of watching those people just get kind of owned by the police.
Yes.
I mean,
feel
I'm not a
sorry
big
by
fan
the
of police
cops
brutality.
because you can see the moment they open their mouth. You can see the life just disappear from the eyes of those cops. You can hear it in their voice. They're just like, it's a Thursday. I had a fight with my spouse last night. Don't do this to me. And it's like, yeah, you're
I've already
about
called
to-
my supervisor. I knew I was going to need to. I've
The
already
minute you
called my
started
supervisor.
saying sovereign citizen, don't worry, he was called. It was. We all knew.
Well, this is good. Okay, Mars is this proof of life. So we talk about
Yes.
nuclear power a lot, or at least I do, kind of like a broken record. Because if you're going to take climate and all this other stuff seriously, if you believe that we're all going to be hosed if we don't cut our carbon emissions, we should be building more nuclear plants. So they actually looked at one in
I do that
Virginia.
very-
We don't have our Virginia delegate here tonight,
Yes.
but
Down in Newport News.
the Surrey nuclear plant gets a 20-year extension at the same time as one in New York is actually being turned off.
Oh.
It is astonishing the amount of carbon-free power that these things produce. They're massively important because they make us energy independent and they give cheap, reliable power.
And the molten salt reactors are very interesting.
They are, and actually, weirdly, one thing that we're not covering tonight is there's actually money coming from the Tennessee Valley Authority of all things to finance one of those test reactors.
I love
Good.
that they still
I
exist.
kid you not that the Tennessee Valley Authority is putting money into molten salt reactors.
That's just bizarre.
So it says here, let's see, Nuclear Regulatory Commission has approved 20 years subsequent renewed licenses for Dominion Energy's Virginia Surrey Power Stations Units 1 and 2 near Newport News, Virginia, making them only the 5th and 6th reactors in the U.S. cleared to operate for 60 to 80 years.
Hooray.
Jesus Christ. But the number of operating U.S. nuclear reactors fell to 93 as Indian Point Energy Center Unit 3 in Buchanan, New York, powered down for the last time on April 30th. The 45-year-old reactor is about a 1 gigawatt unit. Remarkably ran 753 days, a world record for a commercial light water reactor before it closed. Yeah, 753 days on the job producing power without shutting down.
Amazing.
I don't know how many of you know about how power plant operations work, but that's like an enormous amount of time.
Yeah, that's
big frickin' deal.
phenomenal. That compared with a coal-fired plant or oil or a gas burner. Oh my God. That's
It's like a freaking Clydesdale. It just,
Yeah,
Hey, let's just do this.
You just give it a job to do, and it just does it.
Yep. Yeah, it's like a Rhodesian Ridgeback in a world full of dachshunds.
No,
What an
it
image.
turns out this thing is, I guess, let's see. Dominion said in a statement the nearly 50-year-old the one that was shut down was 1 gigawatt. This is a 1.6 gigawatt plant. Produces about 15% of this company's generated power. Ran at a capacity factor of 97% in 2020. 97% is huge for a power plant of any kind. Just, incredibly reliable, fantastic. I'm glad they're extending this thing. But the problem is we just need to get the sexy third and fourth generation stuff a lot more broadly distributed. I was doing some checking, and Canada, I guess, is aggressively going after this stuff too. But they're looking at a lot more of the small reactors.
Yeah, which I think might be easier to sell, maybe. I don't know. It's as sell as in get people behind it, not sell.
Well, if it doesn't take 20 years to build the thing, because you're basically taking an off-the-shelf plan and it can be bussed in largely in the back of a truck and then placed in a reinforced building that isn't nearly as big as it would need to be for a ginormous reactor. I think that's a pretty easy sell.
Mm-hmm. Well, as
There are
long as
a
you're
lot
not a closed-minded environmentalist, yes.
It's these Luddite environmentalists that make me crazy. They don't realize that this is the most environmentally responsible thing you can do. Is to encourage these new the new designs of reactors. It just is it. The solution is sitting right there, and we're too stupid to pick it up. God damn, that makes me mad.
Well,
They're
we've
just
got
salty about all
maybe
the molten
100
salt.
years worth of gas, like in terms of natural gas left. I mean, we have a lot of natural gas, but it's not unlimited.
Yeah.
Not by any stretch of the imagination. We have to, at some point, move to something else.
And,
So
and the
leave-
thing,
Go ahead.
what it's very interesting is, like you were saying, this makes you self-sufficient, which means that you do not need to worry about
The price of oil.
and which country is making it, how they're making it, who you have to have extensive talks with.
We have uranium mines in Montana.
Like it's the kind of thing that I would think from a protectionist point of view you'd want to have going, especially when you're in a time of pseudo peace, I guess, as best that it is right now, to get that power generated, because then you never know what's going to happen, right? But I suppose then people will use it, well, if we do set this up, it becomes a target if we ever go into global war again. And, well, at that point, we're all fucked, so who cares? At least you get some years of clean power out of it.
Well, most of those places, too, like, they're not that easy to make go, air quotes, nuclear.
Yeah.
Like, there's the...
I was thinking more of the bombing aspect of it, but, it's...
Even in that case, they're...
You're thinking of terrorism creating, like, a dirty bomb type thing.
Yeah. But even that, it just seems like you were saying, just such a good idea. Just to have that clean energy. Just
hey, let's follow the science. How about that? How about follow the science? It's right here, the science of the freaking atom.
Well, there have been a lot of designs that have come out more recently too over the last decade for nuclear power plants, to where they actually have a lot more fail-safe mechanics and a lot more ways to burn up nuclear waste and stuff, even as fuel for a nuclear reactor. So
Well,
it's
it's the same as Skep and Harry said earlier. Like, Chernobyl was because people were stupid.
Mhm.
Like, that was the reason why what happened at Chernobyl happened. Or
Yep.
they
Well,
were
also,
they,
Chernobyl was not what I would call
Yeah.
Okay, Chernobyl. We have a graphite reactor like the one at Chernobyl here in the U.S. We don't run it above 1%.
Yeah.
It's only there for research because we're smart enough to know that maybe building a reactor out of something flammable is a bad idea.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
Well, I'm just saying that the 4th generation reactors and 3rd generation reactors that Geodes was talking about are so far removed from Chernobyl that
Yeah.
I just want to throw that out there because if I don't want anybody to get confused and think there's any relationship between these things.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. And the thing is, like, if, like, we'll take California for instance there, Harry. If they want to go and have nothing but electrical cars, you still have to have something that powers the electrical cars. And it's as delightful as it would be to be wind power, because God knows they won't use hydro anymore because that hurts the fishies. And wind power or solar, it's not sustainable, not without a massive battery network, which is another thing entirely, which is a nightmare. And
Well, they
it's-
actually are building some of these massive battery things.
And that'll
Battery
get real
backup is going to
interesting.
be a big part of it. There's a big thing. I can't remember if it's PG&E or Duke Energy. They got a metric butt ton of money to build a huge battery pack out at Moss Landing, which is north of Monterey on the coast. And they're building a huge battery farm there. Essentially, all of the solar and wind and stuff can feed into that. But I still think having nuclear as a base, as a nice, reliable base for like 30 or 40% of your power, is just a no-brainer.
Oh yeah, agreed.
You don't want your grid to be that dependent on something that's up to the whims of nature.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Or like, all we need is like something weird to happen, like what happened in Texas, and like they didn't buy the winter package, and the propellers ice up, and then you have to use jet fuel to remove the ice, which that's environmental.
Might say the finances were a little frozen out when they
That's
invested
right.
into those.
Or-
Well, they
you
make Tito's vodka in Texas. It'd probably make a fine de-icing fuel.
you-
Just
You could
go
say
to
they were a
Trader
bit
Joe's and get some gallon bottles of that.
Jesus.
flighty.
Oh no.
Sort
There
of
you
like,
go.
I'm not drunk enough for this.
I'm
Yeah,
too
no
far
kidding,
away
but-
from the bottle. It's in a different room.
I just thought it was good news. I
Yeah.
like the fact it's cool to me that you can take something like this that's well made. It was made in the 70s. This thing's going to run for 80 years.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
80 years of nobody had to dig a hole in the ground and pull up coal, potentially dying.
Yeah.
No messy oil, no messy wars for oil. Not even any gas. It's just amazing to me that these things
Yeah, it's
work as well
awesome.
as they do.
And until we find something better, which who knows what we'll discover when we're building stuff for space travel, whether we go to Mars or not, we're still moving into space a little bit. Who knows what we'll find then? Maybe we'll find a different power source or way to do power that's even more economical. The world is open to us all.
What
Speaking,
One-
go ahead, Geodes.
last
sorry.
note on this is one thing I will say, and
Is it a pun or a note? 'Cause-
no, it's a note. It's a note. It is a note. You're good.
Okay.
No, I was gonna say actually,
Very
I would even, and this is not going to sound this is going to sound a little controversial, but I will say even what happened with Chernobyl overall has had a relatively positive outcome in terms of the facilities that they're building out there now they're specifically designing research facilities on how to clean up radiation and stuff, because what better place to build it than in an area that was severely saturated with the stuff. And I personally think that as far as nuclear power goes, the sky's the limit personally there. So
Oh yeah.
Well, and luckily the Biden administration doesn't seem to be particularly hostile to nuclear power, and I don't know what the negotiations look like, because AOC has tried to sound neutral, like she's trying to sort of stay out of it. She doesn't want to propose nuclear because it's not very Greenpeace-y. Maybe green, but it's not Greenpeace. So she simply is kicking the can down the road, saying, "Oh well, we'll just defer it. Whatever works,
Well,
whatever works."
the Green
is
New Deal,
fine.
her Green New Deal, has a specific provision that there's no nuclear in it.
I thought that was one that got walked back.
Okay, maybe it did.
But her
I
Green
know
New
it was
Deal
in
is-
at one
is-
time. It was, yeah.
But her Green New Deal has been replaced with other Green New Deals by different names. And the Biden administration seems to be more than happy to have nuclear be part of that plan.
Okay.
And this has got to be creating some real friction within the left. Because a lot of the people on the left are just irrational anti-nuclear people.
Looking at the latest version of the Green New Deal, nuclear is not in it.
Well, I'm just going by what they're actually doing in terms of handing out money and approving things. Just basing it on their actions. Because honestly, the thing about nuclear is you don't have to subsidize it all that much.
Mm-hmm. It's amazing.
I mean, you may do some things in order to help them get the insurance for these things, but this technology actually works and can create like something of actual value.
Well, we
It's
actually
not
have
some
people
sort of
who know
pie in
what
the
they're
sky
doing.
thing.
That's the big thing. We have people who know what they're doing, who are
Yeah.
already in those jobs, and we don't have to worry about waiting for a jacked up horse crap education system to spit out some stupid people who will proceed to go on Instagram and talk about, I failed 6 classes and I still got into NASA. Sorry.
You know those people who weld gas and oil pipelines, they're actually extremely skilled. I'm more than happy to put them to work building reactors.
Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah.
Because those guys can weld. I mean, they're serious craftsmen.
Oh, yeah.
Being able to weld something that stands up to high pressure with something that, you know, and the metal, it gets a little greedy for hydrogen sometimes. Bad things chemically happen if you don't know what the hell you're doing.
Oh, yeah.
Those guys actually are really, really skilled and should be building, working for Westinghouse and other companies making new reactors if they're not going to be working on the XL pipeline.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, if you're looking for a job, get certified as a welder, you'll never go without a job.
Yeah, welder, undertaker, HVAC.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's a electrician, plumber is always good, and
Those are your big ones. You're gonna make a lot of money.
Well,
if you want to make real
doctor
money,
also.
if you want to make real money, be the guy who empties the honey buckets. That's a good job. All right, let's see. So the next thing struck me as fun, if true. It's kind of hard to tell. The regime in Iran and its terrorist proxies mark the last day of Friday of Ramadan as a so-called Quds Day, once again pledging to destroy Israel. So the regime decided they would paint American and Israeli flags on the ground so that people could walk on them, thereby symbolically owning us.
Well, in that part of the world, touching someone or something with your shoe is the worst insult you can do. People will take off their shoe and slap you with it to tell you what an asshole they think you are.
Someone threw that slipper at Bush, right?
Yes.
They threw 2 of them. Like, they threw one, he missed the first one, then I think he missed the second one.
Actually, injured Dana Perino in getting out of the way of the shoe. She fell and hurt herself. And, had to have surgery. It was a big deal. Yeah.
Well, this is not the first time they've done this stuff, because I remember there was a video on Twitter from a few years ago. They did the same thing. Like, they did it they actually intentionally did it at the exit of a college, like the actual doors, so you had no choice almost. And the kids were still like hopping over it, stepping around it, everything. Like,
that's what happened here. I'm going to hit play on this so we can see it.
Yay!
So there's that guy, but look at most of these people are just not.
Yeah. They're videoing it in case someone does.
They're probably also like frustrated with this kind of nonsense, right?
Yeah.
Like, if you're an everyday person just trying to live their life and you see this kind of crap, you know what it's for, right? And so you're like, I'm not going to be a part of this. I just want to live my life, especially if you're living in a country like Iran. Just mind your own business kind of thing.
What a shite Star of David.
Yeah, that was kind of...
Yeah.
And how many states do we have? Fuck you guys.
51.
Get it right or don't bother. No, okay.
Yeah, really.
I mean, truthfully, that's what most
ahead.
Jews would say, is like, get the damn star right. If you're going to insult us, at least get it right.
Well, here this is clever because the whole stairway is basically one big flag. How do you navigate this?
You slide down that banister like the.
You get a winged horse like Muhammad did when he went to heaven.
That's that video right there is the one that's older because they've done that before. I've seen that video like from a few years ago.
Why doesn't anyone pick it up, or is that also insulting?
Because they don't want to go to jail.
Yeah, because if they touch it, they'll be
the mullahs did that. But here's the thing: Al-Quds means it actually means the holy one or the holy place, but they use it to refer to Jerusalem. And in the minds, particularly of the Shia, but to an extent the Sunni as well, the Shia are the dominant sect of religion in Iran. They call it Al-Quds Day because they want to direct their sentiments toward getting Jerusalem back in Arab ownership. Right now, Israel controls Jerusalem. Mm-hmm. And in their opinion, Israel are the invaders. In their minds, the Crusades are still going on, and the Crusaders are winning because the prize is Jerusalem. And in their opinion, that's a bad thing, and they want to get it back by hook or by crook. That's why they are serious about destroying Israel. They would kill every man, woman, and child in that country to get Jerusalem back.
Yeah, and things were going so well on the peace process front before. It'll be interesting to see how badly the Biden administration can screw it up.
Well, wait till they re-enter the Iran nuclear deal.
I will say it would be kind of funny to hear Biden flub lines in Arabic.
Oh God, no! He'll call someone a mother of a cow or something like that, and then
like really insulting.
Yeah. Is it going to be worse than Kennedy with his accent going "Ich bin ein Berliner"?
Oh God,
I am a jelly donut.
I hope that's all he said.
I am a pastry. Okay.
So we also have
like sniffing
Florida.
Yeah.
Florida man.
Oh,
crashes a stolen police car after pit maneuver, then steals a second police car.
Is this where he got up under them and put them into the wall?
I mean, Florida is just the gift that keeps on giving, isn't it?
Oh, it's beautiful. On so many different levels, it's beautiful.
Right.
As long as no one was
the guy who stole the police car?
Yep.
I think we're looking for him right here. How far do I need to go? There it is. Lights and siren right there.
Yep, there's our boy.
Nope. Oh, miss me. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
Watch this.
That's like the supervisor car too.
Yep.
Yeah, it's the SWAT car.
Well, that's how you basically you give him a little nudge on the back wheel.
Yep.
Then he steals another car. He steals one of these cars, right?
Yep.
Yeah, if we jump to 216 if you want. I don't know. It's up to you.
Because I think he takes a couple minutes to come out of the woods.
I believe it's 216.
Oh yeah. Oh, they even have the dog.
And he's works.
Work. I don't know how he got away from that many.
This is where it is. This is where he comes running out on the left side of the screen, I think.
Yep.
Florida man just has magic powers.
It's all in bath salts. Okay. Run,
like a greased pig.
That's a canine unit I think he got into.
Who left the keys in the ignition?
I know.
It's actually what you're supposed to do.
What were you thinking?
Oh.
All right, I'm out of here.
They're all like, God damn it. Probably a few of them are going, this is not Dukes of Hazzard, you asshole.
Those guys,
holy shit, I'm a god.
Those guys just jacked the hollow points back in their service.
Yep, it's like, screw it, he's dead. Fuck it.
Yeah. The Black Talon magazine.
Look at the beautiful wood, though. What a beautiful scenery.
I just want Life is a Highway playing. As he's just...
Which version? You had a chance. You just had to ram him.
They threw the spikes out in front of him.
Yeah,
And
and this
it looks
is
like
he
it
gets
didn't
a
get
flat
him.
tire. No, they got a he has a flat tire now, and watch it'll start smoking here in a minute.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's just taking it down to the metal.
Florida Man had he there was for a brief glorious moment Florida Man looked like he was untouchable.
And he's like, they can't stop me. They can't
Going
stop me.
pretty like.
He showed good broken field running, good speed, good breakaway speed.
He knew how to hide in the woods long enough to wait till they all sided to one side of the car and then clocked it.
You're being chased by air, dude.
It's like, yeah, I know. It's like, if you
You
don't
can't
think the
outrun radio and you can't outrun the helicopter. I don't know how many
Well, he's in a
unless the
cop
helicopter
car.
crashes. Huh.
Well, he's in a cop car. They know the cop car number. All they have to do is track the damn car.
Yes, they're low jacked, right?
Yeah, they are.
Uh-oh, there's another one. I don't think his tire is damaged.
I think
No, it gets damaged at some point. It really does.
Yeah, but I don't think it's
Oh, yeah.
It
damaged
looked
yet.
like it's something was
I
sparking.
thought it
Yep, there
was
it is.
damaged.
I think it's starting to spark. I
Yeah.
think
Oh,
Sora's right.
oh, there it is. There it
Yep.
is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Sora's right.
You were right. Okay, it's the beginning of the end. He has now killed his flat tire and is riding on probably the rim.
Oh, yeah.
But-
He's on the rim.
What I loved was the audio of this too, where they're all like, "Guys, what guns are in that car?" They're just like freaking out. They're like, "Oh shit!"
Yeah, is that a SWAT? Is that a SWAT vehicle? Yes.
No,
it
I
is.
think that's a canine unit.
No, it's actually a SWAT officer's vehicle.
Oh my god!
Yeah, and
And-
so it has
and-
it has the heavy duty artillery. And it's got a
Jesus.
nuclear weapon in it.
Mhm.
The whole thing.
Yeah,
Suitcase nuke.
this is kind of mesmerizing.
It's
Yeah,
amazing
oh,
to
yeah.
watch. It's amazing how green everything is, though. That's too.
Yeah,
it's like holy
beautiful.
shit. Hey, Florida,
Yeah,
you're
this is
pretty.
quality content here.
Just go into the marshlands. Go into the marshlands. Let the gator get you. Come on. Just go into the marshlands. Let the gator get you.
Well, it's funny because it doesn't seem like any other car is getting anywhere close to him. He caught.
Oh, no,
he surprised them
They've
so
stopped
much.
them on the on ramps. They've stopped all of
Yeah.
them on the on ramps.
And they're talking too about letting this guy just run himself out, because he's
yeah. Oh, there goes the other tire.
He's got flat tires. He's not going anywhere. He's about to pull off anyway. And,
There's a cop car waiting for him.
That
Yeah.
will screw up your warranty when you drive the car that way.
Oh,
Thankfully, it's
for
a
real.
cop car.
For real.
And
player.
here they are.
And they're like, doo 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 doo. Hello, asshole.
Sorry.
Oh, there goes the
Florida
other
man.
No, watch it. Wait. Watch this. This guy in the white shirt gets out. He is fully exposed. I can't believe he did that. I cannot believe that guy got out and just came up. If that guy had been in there with a gun, that guy's dead.
He's Florida cop.
White shirt is dead if that guy chooses to shoot him.
Yeah, I can tell you in the age before everybody had cameras on them, this might have happened differently.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
In the past, police were not always quite so cordial about arresting people that pulled this shit.
His brains. Well, no, his brains would have been on the inside of the vehicle as he was pulling away in it.
Yeah, they other than leaving
would
the
have
keys
shot
in the
him.
ignition, they're very professional. I think.
Oh,
this
yeah.
is all
Consider
very
there's like
professional.
30 of them.
He's a pretty big guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
Be
was,
able to move
he
that
was
fast.
pretty
That was
beefy.
impressive, though. That was fun to watch.
It's one of those really
Ugh.
great ones because nobody really got hurt. Like no civilians or innocents were in the way. They cleared the highway. The dog was okay.
Which is Sora's big thing. The dog.
happy ending.
Melinda Gates reportedly furious after she and Bill met with Jeffrey Epstein. Come on, honey, it'll be fun.
Yeah. He's got a nice plane. No. The point of this is about a service which should not exist. This interior designer is transforming sad pads for single dads.
Aw.
Oh. When Adam
I may
Koppelman
throw
moved
up a little
to
bit.
Manhattan last year after divorcing from his wife of 8 years, he had one piece of furniture, a couch. It was a perfectly nice couch, handsome, comfortable, good for sleeping on, and great for watching the game. Still, Koppelman, 30, had an entire 700-square-foot apartment to outfit, and he had no idea where to begin. Poor man-child. Poor man-child.
700 square foot.
And now we know why they divorced.
I
Well,
met
I
my
mean-
ex-wife in college, and,
Yeah,
you know,
I'll say.
every place we moved, she was always the person who designed it, said Koppelman, who works in legal services and has 3 children who he rarely sees, if ever. Now in his new place,
How old was 3 kids? Oh wow.
I'm sorry?
He's 30 with 3 kids. Wow.
Well, you know.
And the baggage to match.
Oh yeah.
He almost screwed himself out of a seat. He's going to have to get a bigger car. But now he doesn't have to worry about that because new dad can buy a bigger car. Now in his new place, a 1-bedroom condo at 1 Manhattan Square next to the Manhattan Bridge, where 1-bedroom prices start at just over $1 million, he was confronted with the mysteries of the decorative arts for the first time. I don't really have a clue of what I need, he said. It was a little overwhelming.
Okay, if you're that stupid, you need to be fired.
Help arrived via a tip from a single dad friend who had recently faced a similar enigma. I was telling him... yeah, that's not the correct word.
Oh, God, is that her?
I was telling him, dude, I came here with a couch and I don't know what to do, Koppelman said. And he was like, I've got the perfect person for you.
Oh, God.
These guys never heard of Pinterest? Like, what the hell?
Just go to IKEA. Go, I want that set. Put it in my house. You're done.
IKEA makes already made the whole living rooms. You're right. Like, inside their warehouse.
Yeah.
I'm just a dumb man. I make enough money to buy a $1 million 700 square foot condo, but I don't know how to go to IKEA and buy things. Buying things is hard.
Or the old days of when there's like furniture stores where they had the little like just say I want the entire thing, sir. There's just paintings here that are just part of the show. I don't care.
No,
this is perfect.
Get to the point where you talk about designer Stacy Husband-Hutter.
That person was designer Stacy Herman, the founder of Stripe Street Studio. I hate
there
that
you
phrase.
go.
A home design firm that specializes in divorced dads.
She wants
Formerly
to get one
an
of
event producer
dads.
and manager for outfits including Vanity Fair and Elle Decor, Herman, 50, started an interior design firm, Fluid Design Plus Relocation, in 2015 that specializes in decor for private homes and custom pieces for corporate clients. Last year, she shifted focus to help clueless dads get their acts together. It really started when a couple of divorced dads approached me for design work. I like the fact they had to put that in.
God, because they wouldn't approach her for anything else.
For design work, Herman said, I took such a liking to it because I really felt like I was helping these dads, and especially their kids, so it was more than just interior design work for me.
Very
Look at how happy that kid is. He's on the counter.
He's such like
he's got a giant box. The kid's super happy.
That looks pretty well decorated to me.
Yeah.
What's the problem?
I think he's using like a cutting board or something as a headrest. That seems legit.
No, he
it's
has
like
one
Elf
of
on
the.
a shelf.
He has one of the cardboard toys that they make now that you can build your own like robots and stuff like that out of cardboard. I've seen those before. I know what he has.
When I was a kid, I used to get big boxes, and I would sort of put them together, and then I'd get those felt tip pens that smelled really good, the ones that smelled like grape and orange and cherry and stuff. And I would make like my own like spaceship or space station and stuff, and I would draw little controls on the inside of my thing, and I would kind of go, "Ooh, I'm feeling kind of dizzy from the pens." Those were the good days.
Yeah.
When a set of stinky felt pens in a cardboard box was the only friend you needed.
Yeah.
Harry. Oh, the kid's fine. The kid's fine.
You don't have to tell a pot of glue you love it. I'm just saying. You know.
Over the last year, Herman has worked on more than a dozen projects for dads in spots including New York, Chicago, Miami, Los Angeles, and Washington, D.C. The designer splits her time between New York City and Tulsa, Oklahoma. Setting up a functional, well-designed home is key for dads regaining their footing after a divorce, Herman said, adding that it will benefit all other aspects of your life. Like many single fathers, Koppelman told Herman that he would sleep in the bathtub so long as his children had a nice place to stay and felt welcome. In his new apartment, that meant squeezing his daughters, aged 10, 8, and 5-year-old son, into a single space during their bi-weekly visits.
Those 10 and 8-year-olds are going to kill each other.
The 5-year-old is old enough to understand divorce. That's fine. He kept it together long enough.
That 10 and 8-year-old are going to kill each other. That's what that's going to end for.
Okay, so do we know enough to talk about this now? Okay.
I mean,
I'm more like Heckle.
Listen, there was a market. she found herself a niche. People bought into it.
Oh,
She's
she
smart, and obviously, she's got enough clients. Is it kind of stupid? Sure, but hey, if you got money for something and you put value in that something and you want to throw your money at it, go ahead.
And I will judge you for it.
But it doesn't mean the rest of us won't side eye it and go, okay, that's
Yeah.
you want, instead of going to any of these places and purchasing the furniture yourself, even paying for them to be installed by the workers who at that store, you're going to pay a premium for a personal designer who may also be working on some sort of commission thing, and you are probably paying a little bit extra on top of everything she finds because they have a buddy system with her suppliers. Fine, you go ahead and do that, but it's stupid. That's my 2 cents.
How much of a millennial do you have to be unable to buy furniture from IKEA?
I don't know.
You have to be a terrible one.
You could, and for the amount of money he's got,
Yeah,
he
really.
could just go to Design Within Reach or something and buy like an Eames style thing. I mean, it's not like IKEA is the only place.
Therapy, which is my favorite website, that freaking BuzzFeed, they have a shopping tab section. While it might not have furniture necessarily, they do have because that's my guilty like place
pleasure
to look for stuff to buy. But they do have, like, for example, right now it's because they had some listicle about fun things to buy for your working from home office. They list like furnitures off of Amazon even, and you can go and look at that. You've got West Elm, you've got like so many of these more commercial, highly manufactured places, but needs must, if you can quickly furnish a place to make it comfortable and safe for you and your kids, and then over the next few years transition those pieces into more better quality, longer living pieces if that's what you want.
It's
Well, I mean,
But
even
men are
Amazon,
dumb and
all flamingo
helpless.
furniture, though. It's all flamingo furniture, though.
But men
Sora,
are
let's
dumb
be
and
honest.
helpless. They can't do anything for themselves.
well, even Amazon has like you can actually like put in like your dimensions of your room, and it will like put it in. It'll paint the walls for you. You can put your furniture down.
I wish it would be more truthful.
Yeah.
I am 30 years old, freshly divorced, moved to another city, have 3 young kids who are probably squabbling. I am working in legal services. I am tired. I don't want to I want to come home and not think.
I have more respect for that.
I hired this person and she does all of this for me. It's fantastic.
Yeah. I would have more respect for that. That I'd be like,
is the
fair.
situation. Why make him look like an idiot? This is so sad.
But that's what we do with men now. We make them look like idiots.
Well, I mean,
because they're defective women.
Well, even in the picture that he
chromosome.
Even in the picture he is in up there, he kind of looks pathetic. Like it's like, oh, poor boy.
Yeah, where did he go?
All the way to the top.
Empowered woman gonna bail out the stupid man.
Like what's that? What is that painting? And like they're all primary colors because it's all red, yellow, and blue. Like he's not a defective woman. He's not a child. It doesn't need to be primary colors, bitch.
Is that what is that? It's not it's like a table ottoman had a child or something.
It looks like it's made out of fabric.
It looks like it wants to be an Airstream when it grows up, but it's
that's
not.
What I was thinking, Airstream, yeah. Oh boy.
Go ahead, Geodes.
No, never mind.
He's like, you know what? No. Which is like, but yeah, like she just did primary colors. Like if you like, it's all either gray or white, and then the only accents are the laziest colors you can pick, which is red, yellow, and blue. Like even the painting is red, yellow, and blue. The table's red. There's red. Yeah, it's just what the fuck,
and the colors are rather unfortunate for such young kids.
Yeah, it's like
I mean, you still have a 5-year-old, right?
Yeah.
That I suppose you can get special fabrics nowadays that don't stain, but
you don't want to take that chance though, because kids will find a way to stain it every time.
Is that the sofa that he's sitting on?
Yeah,
it don't look like that great a sofa.
It's not. It's already got the wear. It's already got wear wrinkles. Yes, that's very nice.
Whatever that is, I like that. I would like that.
Really nice. That one's kind of cool looking, but that's about the extent of it.
I will say, Yeah, I mean, granted, I watched a lot of like woodworkers and electricians design their own like custom D&D tables.
Oh, those are
So
awesome.
I'm just kind of looking at this, kind of going like, yeah, no. So
You can have a fully electronic D&D table with a touch screen in the middle of it for the amount of stuff you pay for that stupid ottoman. What the F is wrong with you?
But another thing is that people in this age range, we grew up on home and garden television,
Mhm. Yep.
Trading Spaces.
Oh God, I love that
you know, the Love It or Listed, all these like
Mhm.
stupid home rental, but fun. Like it's TV
Yeah.
crack. I love it.
Yeah.
So you know, and there's plenty of guys working on those shows as either the designers or
The handyman.
trend, exactly. And so I don't know. I think it's
And I've
I don't
seen
like the way it's written. So whoever wrote this,
needs to be shot.
means in a mean-spirited kind of way, I think.
Well, it's
I'm
like
gonna guess.
I've seen single men who are straight, and it's not like any like overly designed thing, but they've done it, and they've done it perfectly fine. Like they have their own furniture in their own house. Is it the most expensive stuff? No, but does it survive the football game? Yes, and it still looks good with everything else. Like this whole it's just like it's aggravating. It's like men are not pathetic. Stop it.
Well, you know, if this was flipped around and we were somebody got divorced, and suppose, you know, the guy was like the great house husband.
Yeah.
You know, she's the high priced lawyer, you know, bringing home the bacon, but she doesn't know how to boil water without it lighting on fire. You know, and then she hired a consultant to come in and basically sort of teach her how to cook. Would we be casting aspersions at her like we are at this guy? Because there seems to be an awful lot of implied cuckoldry going on here, that this guy is somehow deficient.
Not gonna lie, if I would, but I'm a judgy person.
It would be a completely different article.
Yeah. It'd be empowering. It'd be like, look at this woman. She got divorced. Her husband left her probably for someone younger, and some shit like that. And it's like, I hit you, please?
For me, it'd be basically be like, I don't necessarily mind that the guy has to learn like a certain skill that he's never learned. It's when I start looking at the price tags. And it's the same thing with female. I'd be like, what the hell? Why did you spend this much money on this? Just no.
Did I just pay $1,000?
Good point, Geo's like the first bit, like where it's because he clearly stated that his ex-wife in every place they've ever lived, she was the one who did all the decorating. Yeah, well, if someone is going to do all of this stuff, put everything together, and you just have to show up home and enjoy being there, I mean, like, why not let them go? I'm going to assume that she consulted with him about, hey, do you like this or do you like that? I hope so, anyway. And then there's now he's just learning a new skill set.
Yeah, and it's like, it's like the entire article is just written so sad. It's just like, why are you trying to make this guy seem pathetic? He's not. If she did it of her own free will, and she probably did it with his money. Let's go with stereotypes here for a moment. And she bought and took care of all those houses with his money. And he thought she enjoyed it. Why wouldn't he let her just do it if she enjoyed it and it made her happy?
Yeah, he'd be one of those guys just going, happy wife, happy life.
Yeah.
You know, and
too bad he was wrong.
Whatever she wants is fine with me.
He was wrong.
Now, so I think we're burying the lead here. If his children are the number one focus in his life, why did he spend that much money to get a tiny house in such an expensive area versus maybe taking that same money, having a slightly longer commute, and actually having rooms for the kids?
It's hard to say. I'd be interested to know how much the alimony and child support is that he has to pay the ex-wife.
Well, I was saying just use the same money to not have a 700 square foot thing in the middle of town where he doesn't have room for his 3 kids.
Now,
as they get older, this is going to be really a problem.
Well, the thing is, it could be, and I have seen this happen sometimes. Sometimes in the divorce settlement, the the wife will stipulate they have to live within so many miles of them, so this way they can be there for the kids. So it might be he might have bought a beautiful brownstone somewhere or something like that, or a beautiful, and she now has it because of the divorce settlement, and he can't live anywhere else because he has to live nearby.
Yeah, he's living on the scraps.
Yeah, basically, and that's the thing.
What you get, by the way.
And
Anyway.
I will give him credit. The views at least looks halfway decent.
Yeah, and unlike Eric Clapton, those windows don't open, so that's a step forward.
Oh
God.
Too soon?
Damn.
That is a damn sad story.
It is.
Damn.
It is. It's amazing how much of life gets determined by just split-second decisions that seem like nothing.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, no, it's. I mean, I'm more curious to look at his arms all the way and see what his ink looks like. But that's me.
He does know how to find a tattoo parlor, even if he doesn't know how to find an IKEA.
Yeah.
Which is hilarious.
So on that note, we are at the end of our show for this evening. Does anybody have anything they would like to say before we say goodnight to everybody?
I have a couple of quotes, but is this the time for that?
This is that time, but I know you like
right.
to go last. Does anybody else have anything to say?
Other than what I always say, which is we'll get through this. No, I'm good.
I hope
It's
you're
Mother's Day
right.
tomorrow if you're in
That's
North
Birthing
America.
Person's Day.
Oh yeah, my mom told me was it, I think it was yesterday or today, that I just want you to know I am your birthing person. I was like, excuse me.
I think I like your mom.
and she was like, she cackled and walked away, and I'm like, okay.
Would it be
Yeah.
correct to say uterus life support unit day?
No, you
right.
can't say uterus because not everybody has a uterus who's a woman.
No,
Exactly.
but I'm
Biological
talking about the
fetus incubator system.
Gotcha.
I was a chip off the old block. That's all I'm going to say. Uh-oh. Oh, no.
She'll be back. We can't get
Okay.
rid of Serenity that easily.
True.
You have anything to say, Geodes?
Keep on rocking and rolling.
Alrighty. Skep.
All right. I have a couple of words of wisdom from the great man, Robert A. Heinlein, for you this evening. The first regards the strange crimes that he talks about. Of all the strange crimes that human beings have legislated out of nothing, blasphemy is the most amazing, with obscenity and indecent exposure fighting it out for second and third place. But one of his real moments of inspiration came when he said that no state has an inherent right to survive through conscript troops, and in the long run, no state ever has. Roman matrons used to say to their sons, "Come back with your shield, or on it." Later, this custom declined, and so did Rome.
Yes, it did. And we could learn a lot from them in terms of what not to do. But
Yes, indeed.
Anyway, it has been my pleasure to be your host tonight. Thank you to my guests tonight. And thank you to chat for hanging with us for the last 2 hours. And with
Thanks
that,
for
this
having
is
us, Harry.
closed.
Night
Good night, everybody.
Thank you
Good
very much.
night.
Good night,
Thank
all.
you.